to ICC Cricket 360, the show that looks at the global game. This week we're in Sri Lanka to talk to Zimbabwe's record-breaking run-getter Hamilton Masakadza about cricket in his country and his career. And we're in New Zealand as we play ball with White Ferns skipper Susie Bates. We begin the show in Sri Lanka's largest city, Colombo. ICC Cricket 360 caught up with Hamilton Masakadza as the 6'3" strongman of Zimbabwean cricket worked out in a gym. At 29 years of age, the right-handed batsman is one of the more experienced players in the national team setup, but at the start of his career, he hit the ground running when it came to breaking records. While still a student at Churchill High School, Masakadza not only became the youngest in his country to make a first-class century, but also the first black Zimbabwean player to do so. Shortly afterwards, he established another record when he became the youngest batsman to score 100 on Test debut. He was only 17 then, but he did not allow his nerves to get the better of him.
We're in a bit of trouble because we started betting again for the second time on the evening of the second day, and I went in early the next morning because I was betting at number 3 and the wicket fell towards the end of the day. So in my mind I was just thinking, try and bet out the day and try and bet as long as I can just to sort of save the game, and I did manage to do that. I did manage to get 100, and I was also helped by the fact that I had played some warm-up games against the guys as they were getting ready for their tour.
Despite his flying start in the game of cricket, Masakadza decided to put his sporting career on hold a year after his debut. Instead, he went on to pursue higher education at the University of the Free State in South Africa for 3 years.
I always knew that cricket wouldn't last forever. It's a career that's quite short in terms of sport. So I always knew that I needed something behind me. I needed something to back me up, that as soon as I finished the game, I would know what I was going to do. And also if something happened to me during my career before I wanted to finish, I would have something to fall back on. So I always knew it would be easier to do it back then before I started my cricketing career, rather than trying to do it in the middle or afterwards.
Masakadza returned to the game during a tumultuous period in Zimbabwean cricket. The country temporarily withdrew its test status in 2005 following the resignation of key players and a series of poor performances on the field. The subsequent years saw a stagnation of the sport in the country, especially with the lack of regular international games.
We've definitely had our challenges, mainly financially. Things haven't been going the way we needed them to, especially in terms of sponsorship and things like that. We realized that all we need to do is keep working hard, keep doing the right things, keep getting our processes right. I understand that there are lots of ups and downs in the game, but whenever I'm going through my downs, I always make sure that I just keep doing the right thing. And I know if I concentrate hard enough and I work hard enough, I know it's just a matter of time before it turns again.
While Zimbabwean cricket was on its long road to recovering test status, Masakadza focused his energies on domestic matches and one-day internationals. In 2009, his efforts and years of unwavering faith in the game paid off. Coming in at number 3, he scored his maiden ODI century against Bangladesh, and that ton took his tally to over 1,000 ODI runs for the year.
I got it when we were a little bit backs against the wall. We had lost 2 early wickets, and I managed to bat quite a long time with the current captain now, Brendan Taylor, and got my first ODI 100 in those times.
Zimbabwe returned to Test cricket in August 2011, and Masakadza's impressive display in domestic matches earned him a call-up for the first game. He was one of only 3 players from the Test side that played 6 years before to retain his place. And Masakadza did not disappoint. He scored a century 10 years after registering his first ever Test 100. The combined efforts of the team led to a convincing victory over Bangladesh, and in the process erased some of the painful memories of a prolonged exile. Zimbabwe have since played more Tests, and senior players are beginning to return to the fold.
We've started improving a little bit in terms of the way that things have been done, the way the administration has been run. We're getting back to having some experienced players in the team, and we also have a few good youngsters that are coming through. So it's definitely not the same as maybe 5-6 years ago, when maybe the most experienced guy would have played maybe 21 days or something like that. But now we've got 5 or 6 guys that have got more than 100 ODIs under their belts. I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and for us as a team to get a little bit more consistent and put a few more consistent performances together.
Zimbabwe will be hoping the investment in its grassroots program will help its young side raise its performance levels and allow the country to return to its cricketing glories that were achieved less than 2 decades ago. 2012 in particular was a disappointing year, with some poor performances at the ICC World 2020. 2013, however, seems to hold more promise for the team, with 6 test matches and 12 ODIs already on the calendar. This could be the year for Zimbabwe to take their lessons from the past and step confidently once again into the international spotlight. We're in Townsville, Australia, to meet an ordinary man with an extraordinary tale. It's a story of terror, courage, and selflessness. In 2009, the Sri Lankan national cricket team were travelling in a convoy to the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore, Pakistan, when 12 gunmen with explosives attacked them. The assault saw 6 policemen and 2 civilians killed. 6 cricketers along with a number of officials were injured, including match umpire Ahsan Raza. The Pakistani umpire was travelling in a minivan with other officials when the tragedy began.
We were on the road, we were going, everything was going, traffic stop, signal stops, we are going in smooth way, this and that. But suddenly, it's happened around, I remember that it's round about near the Gaddafi Stadium. It's not more than 2 minutes away. Suddenly I heard there is some firing or something, and I tell Mr. Chris Ward, Chris, something wrong outside. He said, no. I said, yes. And after that, bullets coming on our vehicle, like somebody's knocking the door, tuck, 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 and everyone trying to escape and trying to hide themselves under the seats, underneath the seats, but it was quite difficult because the person like Simon Toffel and Chris Ward, who are more than 6 feet.
The driver of the van was killed. Raza was shot twice in the attack, the bullets damaging his lung and liver. Fortuitously, his ICC handbook slowed the bullets down. The van eventually escaped as it was driven to the stadium. Raza spent several days in a critical condition.
Actually, it's always hurt me that incident, because it was a very difficult time for me, spending days in hospital, and people, they showing sympathies. They're giving me courage, they're giving me support. I'm really thankful to ICC and especially my PCB.
After coming out of intensive care, Raza's thoughts began to turn to cricket again. He was keen to return to the sport he had loved all his life, but the doctors had other news for him.
Doctors, they are saying, now it's difficult, you start umpiring again. And I remember that my tears, because umpiring is my passion, because I play a lot of cricket. I did a lot of hard work to play cricket and to represent for my country, and unfortunately I couldn't grab that opportunity to represent country. So it was my dream to become an ICC umpire or represent my country in international level.
Not willing to give up on his dream, he worked hard on his fitness. Despite the concerns of the medical staff, he was back on the international scene within 3 months.
I remember the words of my doctors. One of my doctor named Shoaib Nabi. He was saying, man, you need at least one year to start umpiring again. And I started umpiring after 3 months.
Raza has fully reintegrated into the international cricketing setup. He was crowned Umpire of the Year in 2012 by the Pakistan Cricket Board, and he was promoted to the ICC Umpires Panel. As the incidents of 2009 recede, he's began to have a philosophical view on it all.
The reality is reality. It was happened, and it was happened with me, and not with me. The worst things, or the worst thing of this, it was happened with my country. We have lost reputation, respect.
Although he will always be associated with one of the darkest days in international cricket, Raza refuses to be defined by it, but rather be remembered by the contribution he's making to the sport that he loves, cricket. Before we head to the break, it's time for our ICC Cricket 360 A to Z.
Left arm round the wicket. Alan Lamb has been cleaned up.
Alan Lamb with an absolutely magnificent delivery, as near as to unplayable as you can possibly get. He's still there.
Subtract Lewis from that list. Wasim Akram is on a hat-trick. Played on.
When we get back, we're in New Zealand to play ball with the national women's team captain, Susie Bates. We're off to New Zealand next in the gorgeous coastal city of Dunedin, located in the country's South Island. The area is largely known for its pleasant weather and lovely beaches. Dunedin has also produced several sports stars over the years, and ICC Cricket 360 was in town to catch up with one such person. Meet Susie Bates, 25 years of age and the current captain of the New Zealand women's team, the White Ferns. She may be a hard-hitting batter on the cricket field, but not long ago Susie donned another hat, that of a double international. She played basketball for a country and even represented New Zealand at the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing.
Yeah, 2008 I was fortunate enough to make the Olympic team, and I put cricket aside for about 18 months and decided that I wanted to give the Beijing team a good crack and have no regrets, and luckily enough I put the work in and was in a position where I made that squad. And I think just as an athlete, whatever sport I was playing, I always wanted to go to an Olympics, so to have ticked that off, yeah, it still gives me goosebumps. I think sometimes I forget that I was an Olympian, and although I haven't played much basketball since, it was a pretty special moment and something I'll never forget.
After Beijing, Susie didn't see too many opportunities with regard to women's basketball and decided to pursue her other passion, cricket. That said, playing ball is still one of her hobbies, and she represents her local team, the South Pacific Magic, as a point guard from time to time. The world of shooting hoops, slam dunks, layups and free throws is in sharp contrast to that of cover drives and pull shots, but Susie's experience on court has certainly helped her on the field.
Being under pressure, whatever sport it is, and being in tournaments where you have to perform, or games that go down to the wire, you just learn mental skills and how to be mentally tough. So those skills are transferable, although many of the other skills aren't. I think the mental side has really helped me in my cricket and vice versa.
After developing a love for cricket by playing with her two elder brothers and then flourishing at club level with Otago, Susie made her debut for the White Ferns in 2006. Today, with over 2,400 international runs, not only is she a household name, but also features amongst the top 10 batters in both ODIs and T20s as far as the Reliance ICC rankings are concerned. She's also been captaining the national team for over a year now, a role she finds challenging but really enjoyable.
I took over probably at a time where I thought I wasn't quite ready, but Amy Mason had retired, and look, I just decided that I needed to step up and learn as much as I could, as quick as I could, and you know, it's been an awesome experience. I've developed as a player and a leader, and I'm just really enjoying this group of girls, and with our new coach it's a pretty inspiring environment, so hopefully I'll get better and we'll start winning a few more big tournaments and series, and you know, I've got a long career ahead of me, so it's exciting for myself and New Zealand cricket.
When we caught up with Susie, she'd just come back from the Rose Bowl series against Australia. Although the New Zealand team went down 3-1, Susie's individual performances were outstanding. She top scored for her country with a total of 274 runs from 4 games at a stunning average of more than 90.
From a personal level, it was good to score some runs, and in the first game score my first 100 against Australia, but I thought in a couple of the other games I could have finished the job and we could have won a couple of the games, so a bit disappointing I didn't finish off in the other 2 matches.
The next big focus for Susie and the White Ferns is undoubtedly the ICC Women's World Cup that kicks off in a few weeks. New Zealand did win the competition back in 2000, but have also made the final on 3 occasions and come away with nothing. In the 2009 edition, Susie was instrumental in her country's march to the final. She smashed 168 off just 105 deliveries against Pakistan, the highest for her country in women's ODIs.
I wasn't actually batting that well at the start of the game, and got a message sent out from the coach just to keep my head still and hit hard, and that's what I did, and I was seeing the ball a bit better than the rest of the tournament. It just came off, and yeah, small boundaries did help, but I remember coming off at the end of the day and couldn't quite believe I'd got to that score, and things just went my way. So yeah, it was pretty cool, and hopefully I can do that again at this World Cup.
And speaking of that forthcoming World Cup in Mumbai, Susie believes New Zealand have what it takes to go all the way.
I really do believe we have a side that can compete with any of the teams, and you know, it's not going to be easy. At a World Cup everyone's peaking, so we'll be ready to take on the top teams, and really looking forward to the challenge, and hopefully I guess surprising some of the teams like England and Australia.
A trophy cabinet at home looks quite full, but there's just one major piece of silverware missing, and no doubt Susie will be hoping to add that piece once the World Cup is done and dusted. For now, it's time to pack those bags and get ready for India. Time for the Reliance ICC rankings, and this week we focus on India's Jhulan Goswami. She made her ODI debut against England in 2002, taking 2 for 15 in her 7 overs. Her first ODI 5-wicket haul came in December 2005 when she grabbed 5 for 16 against England in Silchar. After successful tours of Australia and New Zealand in 06, the speedster's peak rating came in February the following year when she reached 796 points. Since then, she's not been out of the top 5, spending a total of 146 ODIs as the world's #1 bowler. Her best career figures of 6 for 31 came against New Zealand in 2011. Watch out for the Jhulan Express at this year's ICC Women's World Cup in Mumbai. Let's bring you some highlights from day 4 of the second and final test match between South Africa and New Zealand, played in Port Elizabeth. Visitors were already up against it as they resumed on their overnight score of 157 for 4. South Africa needed 6 wickets to win the test, but BJ Watling was in no mood to throw in the towel just yet. Watling, along with Dean Brownlee, put on a 98-run stand for the 5th wicket, both players reaching their half-centuries as well. The partnership was eventually broken by Jacques Kallis. Brownlee gone for 53, and with South Africa taking the new ball, it signalled the beginning of the end for the Black Caps. Colin Munro was the next to go, playing away from his body and edging it straight to 3rd slip. It would take something special to remove the in-form Watling, and Dale Steyn produced this peach of a delivery to send BJ back to the hut for a well-made 63. Steyn and Morne Morkel continued to heap more misery upon the New Zealand batsmen. The wickets continued to tumble, and the hosts were showing everyone just how ruthless they can be. It was only a matter of time before the Proteas cleaned up the Kiwis, Dale Steyn getting rid of Neil Wagner to end with stunning figures of 8 for 65. He would go on to pick up the Player of the Match award. South Africa winning by an innings and 193 runs, their largest victory margin in tests over New Zealand. Graham Smith's men wrapped up the test and the series 2-0 in emphatic fashion. It's the first time they've beaten the Kiwis by an innings in 2 consecutive test matches. After the break, we head to Rwanda to check out the efforts of a pair of siblings in spreading cricket throughout their country. Moving on to our next stop, Africa, to the country of Rwanda. This densely populated nation was thrust into the world's attention during the horrors of the 1994 genocide. But the people are putting the past behind them and rebuilding their lives. With the return of thousands of Rwandans after the civil war, its economy picking up pace and a growing number of expats, a sport that was previously unheard of is making its mark: cricket. The country became an affiliate member of the ICC in 2003 in recognition of the work being done to develop the game. Two such people are brother and sister Andre Kayatera and Veronique Iriho. They've been working tirelessly to grow the sport they've fallen in love with.
You must first like the game. Secondly, you have to make yourself available for training. If you want to learn how to play the game, you must come and train.
Cricket now is starting growing. I can say in like 5 years we shall be somewhere in Division 1 Africa because we have talented kids here.
Andre is the opening batsman for the Rwanda national side and his local team, the Victory Cricket Club. He only took the sport up 8 years ago and has not looked back. But his path to cricket was a fortuitous one. Whilst walking through one of the parks in his local area, he saw a group of expats playing what was to him, at the time, a very strange sport. One he had never even seen on television. But it was to change his life.
I was here, near of my school. I saw Indians playing cricket. And I started coming to play with them. And that's how I started playing my game.
And it wasn't just the complicated rules of the game that he picked up.
Here in Rwanda, we are playing against Indians. They speak English. I'm playing against Ugandans. They speak English. I didn't know any word for English, but as long as I'm going to playing cricket with Indians and Ugandans, that's how my English came.
While Andre's hero may be the former England all-rounder Andrew Flintoff, for Veronique it was a case of whatever her brother could do, so could she.
It was my brother who got me interested in cricket. He is the best player, a very good batsman. Watching him play, I feel very inspired. So it was because of my brother that I decided to take up cricket.
Veronique was only 16 when she made her debut with the women's under-19 squad. And now 20, she's been promoted to the senior side and captaining the Kicukiro College of Technology team. Her brother, 23-year-old Andre, played in Rwanda's first ever ICC World 2020 qualifier in 2011. Although the team didn't make it to last year's world stage, the experience alone has motivated Andre.
I see teams are getting stronger and stronger. So we have to train hard and harder, no rest. You have to train hard. If you don't train, you will not compete with those teams.
Both brother and sister are currently coaching the age group sides and are part of Cricket Without Boundaries, a charity which uses cricket as a way of delivering education awareness. It was a call that came unexpectedly for Andre.
I first saw Indians here playing in the weekend, during the weekends. So in the weekdays, I didn't have anyone to play with. I started calling my teammates to come and I teach them how to play, so I can have someone who can bowl me and someone who can bat and I field. So I start coaching like that, and after some days I found myself coaching every player. So under 15 when they come, they need me to coach them, under 19 and even under 19.
It is still a long road ahead for the development of cricket in Rwanda. The game is only played in Kigali and has only one fully functioning cricket pitch. But these obstacles do not deter the likes of Andre and Veronique. They're fueled by the possibilities in a country keen to focus on the positive after years of living under the shadow of violence.
With the number of people playing increasing, it gives us hope that cricket will develop and improve in Rwanda. I think cricket here has a bright future.
We still need so many players, and how we can now improve is to go into schools. Go out of Kigali. Now you see cricket is in Kigali only. So if we can get outside of Kigali, so we can get so many players in schools, and that's how our cricket will improve.
It may take some time for the country to make its mark on the cricketing world, but with the enthusiasm of people like Andre and Veronique, the cricket world will soon come to know of Rwanda. Time for some quick-fire questions now. In the hot seat this week is Aussie all-rounder David Hussey.
Once I finish playing cricket, I'll be a marine biologist. Michael is left-handed. MCG. Walking down to the coffee shop, having a cup of coffee and reading all 3 publications of the newspaper in Australia. My wife's. Watch movies, lots of sleep. Cold Case, great drama. Ricky Ponting. Seeing my brother celebrate anything, any milestone.
Before we go, here's a quick look at what's happening in the world of cricket in our ICC Cricket 360 calendar. Next week on ICC Cricket 360, we join Sri Lanka T20 captain Angelo Matthews as he sprung a surprise visit at his father's cricket academy. And ahead of the ICC Women's World Cup 2013, we're in London as we took in the sights with one of the top female batters in the world, Lydia Greenway.